Hey, it's philzGoodMan, and what is the best class in Krunker right now for Season 2? So that's the question that I'm going to try to answer today. And it's not always easy, of course, to find pretty much the best of anything in life. So if you're trying to find the best dog, for example, some dogs might be smarter, but others might be better for apartments. And likewise, the Krunker player base can have very different goals, but I'm going to attempt to answer what is the best class right now anyways. So I'm going to be using 3 dimensions to evaluate. The first dimension is the standard game mode, so the pub lobbies, the public servers. The second dimension is going to be competitive and ranked, and although Krunker Esports has different rules than the ranked mode, these two groups kind of fall together because they're both competitive-minded players. And the last dimension is going to be consistency, so consistency across different maps, across different game modes, hardpoint, TDM, 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 4 versus 4. So which class is going to give you the most benefit most of the time. I think that Krunker is really balanced right now compared to a lot of games. More than half of the classes are extremely viable, and the same cannot be said about a ton of other games out there. So whether you're a new player just starting out, a veteran, or someone who just wants to hear my opinion, I'm going to give you my top 7 best classes for Krunker Season 2. Coming in at number 7 is Run and Gun with the SMG, and some of you might be surprised to see Run and Gun ranked here, since Run and Gun definitely used to be one of the best classes in the game. It also received 2 buffs over the past few months, so the first was an increase in the clip size, and the second doesn't really matter as much, but reduce the hipfire spread. Now remember that even though Run and Gun is 7th place, it's still really strong. It's a great class to drop nukes in pub lobbies, and you can play it in ranked. I switch to Run and Gun sometimes when it's a close quarter situation. The main problem is that other classes accomplish the same thing as Run and Gun, they just do it better. First example is time to kill, so Run and Gun has a great time to kill, especially at close ranges, but it gets outclassed by shotgun in close ranges and marksman in medium range. TRIGGERMAN and spray and pray are both better full auto options, and I think not having a secondary weapon hurts SMG a bit, especially now that there's the sawed-off in the game. I feel like sawed-off plus TRIGGERMAN is a great combo already. So overall, a really well-rounded class. I just think that there are better options out there. Number 6 also might surprise some people. It's Vince with a shotgun. So a lot of people think that this class is super overpowered, that the shotgun has like way too much range. And it's also true that I do randomly die to a shotgun user all the time. But I just don't think that Vince has the same capabilities to pub stomp in free-for-all lobbies. The scoring potential just isn't there, and you're only really good at close range. With the addition of the sawed-off, your shotgun jumping mechanic is no longer unique. For competitive players and ranked players, Vince is still really good. First thing is that you got the one-shot potential, so you can counter even an LMG with one shot. And then you have a lot greater mobility because you have 2 shotgun jumps to work with. Vince is even currently banned in Krunker Esports, but I placed Vince 6th on this list because he's simply not as well-rounded as some other classes. Now we're on to the top 5, which are all really strong, so sometimes it's not always easy to rank. In 5th place, we have the Detective with REVOLVER, which probably would have been first placed if this was done in the past. I'll start off with the good stuff. So you have really high burst damage, 66 damage per shot, which is enough to one-shot body shot the hunter. You have the fastest ADS speed in the game. You really don't have any bad matchups, and you excel at any range. The Detective can dominate both pub lobbies and ranked, and you often see it on top of the leaderboards in Krunker Esports. But I'll give you 3 reasons why I did not put it in the top 4. The first is that Hunter is not always played, and it's not always dominating both ranked or casual lobbies, so the Detective's role as a Hunter counter doesn't really come into play. It does pretty well against LMG, but it's definitely not a hard counter. Second reason is the lack of a secondary weapon. So again, with the addition of the sawed-off, assuming that it stays the same, Detective won't have access to that increased mobility. And the last reason is actually it doesn't have that great time to kill. And I think that's important because TRIGGERMAN's really dominant right now. And you'll see that the next entry on my list has an amazing time to kill. If you blink, you might just miss it. It's the Marksman with the semi-auto. That first clip was just at regular speed, not using an auto clicker. I plan to do more thorough TTK testing in the future, but you can see that the Marksman kills between 10 and 17 frames from the time the first bullet was shot until the kill is confirmed. Of course, this will vary with range and how many headshots you hit. Most other classes in the game are in the 20 to 30 frame range. Detective takes a minimum of 28 frames to kill a 100 HP class, and TRIGGERMAN kills in about 23 to 32 frames. This makes the Marksman not only really well-rounded, but also a great counter to the TRIGGERMAN. I think it's a better TRIGGERMAN counter than Commando. First of all, the Marksman's more reliable, and second, based on my testing, the Commando can kill in 14 frames, but that's only if it's a 1-burst kill. And if you're playing Commando, you might not always get that 1-burst kill because it requires all 3 shots to hit, and at least one of those shots has to be a headshot. Even if you do all this, the Marksman could still kill faster in theory, and that's why the Marksman is number 4 on my list. At number 3, we have probably the most popular class in the game, the Hunter. And the Hunter gets the 3rd spot largely because of how good it is at pub stomping. Part of the reason for this is that the Hunter is really great at taking advantage of the score bonuses that other classes simply can't get. You might be thinking that doesn't really matter, it's just casual, but do keep in mind that's how the vast majority of people play Krunker. And competitively, the Hunter plays an extremely important role as well. The Hunter can win fights at any range because of its one-shot potential, and all you need to do is land a body shot on 100 HP classes. But if I'm playing FFA, I'm definitely going for the headshot. It is true that Hunter can be countered. Detective and LMG are both pretty good against Hunter, but not as much in team games, especially on the maps that have really long sight lines. You can't always take a Hunter in a straight-up 1 versus 1 fight. The Hunter really is that X factor as well, and can help your team catch up if they're far behind. I'm happy to place Hunter in top 3 because I really enjoy playing it. There's few things more satisfying in life than sniper headshots. The number 2 best class in the game right now is Spray and Pray with the light machine gun. Whether you think the Spray and Pray is toxic or not, there's no denying that this is a really strong class. In my opinion, there's no other class in the game that's as disruptive as the Spray and Pray. When a Spray and Pray is put into play, it forces the enemy to respond. Due to its high HP and a theoretical 1 versus 1 situation, LMG always wins. It's so strong that it's banned by Krunker Esports. Of course, it's really great as playing the tank role in ranked. It deals a surprising amount of damage, and it's effective at all ranges. It can even be used to beat hackers or against a Hunter that simply aims and shoots faster than you. It pretty much excels at all game modes. You can see in this example of a 1 versus 1 ranked match, if you're going up against a player who's either hacking or aiming better than you, just switch over to LMG and I can easily take him down because it's not able to follow up with a second shot. The LMG does have one minor weakness, and that's in FFA pub lobbies when you're trying to drop nukes. The reload time is so painfully slow that you just can't pump out the same scores as some other classes. It also makes it a lot harder to keep your kill streak alive to drop a nuke, but the Spray and Pray can dominate everything else, excelling in both 1 versus 1s and team fighting. On to the number 1 best class in Krunker right now. It's hard to decide the number 1 spot. Actually, this entire list was hard to rank, but I gotta give it to my main man, the TRIGGERMAN, who's not only the most well-rounded class in the game, but also is the best choice in a lot of situations. There's been a lot of adjustments to the TRIGGERMAN through various patches. I'll spare you all the details, but its damage combined with its reduced fall off at range helps the TRIGGERMAN in fights versus Hunter, making that a much more even matchup, with TRIGGERMAN maybe even having a slight edge. Steady damage output for taking down LMG, Rocketeer, large clip size, fast reload time, very low recoil. This makes TRIGGERMAN a great choice all the time, so I'll start with pub lobbies. Let's say you're going for a nuke in 8-player FFA. TRIGGERMAN really is a great choice. I think it's easier to drop a nuke with TRIGGERMAN than Hunter. Infinitely less time between shots, faster reload speed, way less downtime in general. Better at pub stomping compared to a class like LMG. In ranked, also really great. I like to start off with TRIGGERMAN because I don't know yet what my opponents are going to be picking. In tournaments, it's not banned since it's not really breaking the game in the same way as some other classes that are banned are, but TRIGGERMAN's almost always picked. Because of its consistency, it does really well in 1 versus 1 situations, but also does better in team fighting compared to some other classes. So if a Hunter gets a headshot, then it's kind of like wasted damage, especially if they weren't at full HP, whereas an opponent might be lit and TRIGGERMAN can just dust them off really easily. I think the addition of the sawed-off shotgun benefits TRIGGERMAN more than other classes as well. For example, I was testing the sawed-off with Marksman and it just wasn't as easy to get those air shots, whereas with TRIGGERMAN you just hold down left click. So due to many things, the TRIGGERMAN is the best class in the game right now. But the good thing is that the TRIGGERMAN doesn't feel too overpowered or unfair to play against. Instead, it's a class that's always useful all the time. So what about all the other classes that I did not mention in this video? Does it mean that they're trash? Definitely not, at least not all of them. Rocketeer is great for clearing out the hard point, and it's even banned in Krunker Esports, but just a bit too situational to make the list. And also with the change to 2 rockets instead of 1 rocket, it's much harder to get that one-shot kill. Agent was a class that was banned by Krunker Esports. At close range, it can kill at insanely fast speeds. Clear out the point easily. It took me a while to understand this because you rarely come across players that are good at using this class, but like the Rocketeer, a bit too situational. When you want to troll people, Runner is really great, but the problem is that it's a bit redundant now that any class can have a knife. So most people going melee only are picking LMG so they can have a bigger health pool. Bowman is not very good, but I'm really glad that it's in the game because it's really fun to play. My only problem with it is, I don't know if it's superstition or not, but from patch to patch, The hit registration feels inconsistent. Some patches I'm hitting every shot, and other times I'm missing everything. Commando has a solid place in the game, can get those one-shot bursts, but Triggerman is a better rifler and Marksman just kills faster. So those are my picks for the top 7 best classes in Krunker right now. So you might agree with me, you might disagree with me, but either way, that's okay. As with any game, it's subject to both balance changes and changes in the meta. The sawed-off shotgun was recently added to the game, so that can significantly shake things up, and we'll see if anything is going to be changed. Right now, I'm really loving Triggerman plus the sawed-off shotgun, so that's currently my go-to loadout. So let me know what you guys think are the best classes in the game right now. Thank you all for your support, for your subs and your views, and for anyone who's not subscribed to me, please help me out by doing so. Another way to support my channel is to use code PHILZ in the Krunker item store. So thanks so much, and see you guys next time.